Hey guys, recently we did do a small stop on our road trip and made a video about guns in Build 42, but today we're back on the road. And we are heading all the way to the northwest of Knox County, to a place that all the finest folks of Kentucky call home, Brandenburg. We will hit the beach, we will visit the famous riverboat Delilah, but also see a neighborhood devastated by a tornado back in April of 1993. But before we start exploring Brandenburg, I do have two small announcements/updates that I wanted to share with you guys. If you're not interested, I'm gonna post a timestamp in the description of the video so you can easily skip this part. But I do hope you actually stay and listen. One of the things I wanted to talk about is the frequency of the Masterclass episodes. Now, they are not being released as often as they used to, and the reason is very simple. Ever since I started my full-time job, it's been slightly more challenging for me to fit recording two separate episodes of the Masterclass into my daily schedule. So I hope you guys understand that and don't mind. And the other thing about the Masterclass series is that obviously this will have an end at some point, as guys, let's face it, there is a finite number of things that we can discuss, break down different game mechanics, locations, stuff like that. So at some point the Masterclass series will end, and it will probably receive some updates whenever the game will receive a massive update that will render making a new video. We're not there yet, there are still topics I want to cover, but it will end. And you will ask me what's next, what else can I deliver? And I have a new idea that I wanted to share with you, so I want to start talking about mods. I think mods are an essential part of Project Zomboid. Most of us play with mods. You often ask me questions, what kind of mods am I using, what is my mod pack, and I think this is an interesting thing to cover, so there will be a new series on the channel with short couple of minute videos that will be breaking down either individual mods or series of mods in the same theme. And I'll be sharing how this mod works. I'll try to address all the hot mods which pop up on the market and are currently trending on Steam Workshop, and I will also love to do reviews of mods that you suggest, so stay tuned for that. I'm really hoping this new series is gonna receive just as much positive energy from you guys as the Masterclass did. Okay, but now let's talk about Brandenburg. We will be entering the town from the south off the main road leading from Akron into Brandenburg. Another way to get into Brandenburg is from the east, so coming from Riverside using the main road, the highway which leads into the city and actually intersects with the road we are on right now. Just like the other two towns introduced with the Build 42 map expansion, Brandenburg is also modeled after a real-world town of Brandenburg. The Project Zomboid version of this town is fairly large, definitely larger in size than places like West Point or Rosewood, and is also not super easy to navigate because unlike the already mentioned West Point or Rosewood, where most of the interesting things are located in the downtown section of, well, the town, in Brandenburg things are far more scattered and all over the place. You can also clearly see it on the map that there is a central section of the town with non-residential buildings, but they're not all in one place, they are actually, well, pretty much everywhere. Apart from your typical residential areas of Project Zomboid, there is a trailer park on the eastern outskirt of the town next to the highway, and another a little smaller in size on the northwestern edge of the town. It's super close to the collapsed bridge and the military blockade, which we will visit later on. All the visitors coming to Brandenburg, just like us, from the south, will first be greeted by the Brandenburg city sign, and once you get past that, just further down the road, there is a really lovely restaurant called Cat on a Hot Tin Grill. I strongly recommend you guys check this out because not only does it have typical restaurant type of loot, but you also have a minor chance of finding shotguns there. And the place itself actually looks like a really awesome forward operating base for all your Brandenburg exploration. Just outside the restaurant, you will also find a decently sized pond. My assumption is that's where they catch all the fish, which they later on serve as part of the restaurant's menu. And there's also a house. So, technically speaking, this is a prime location if you're looking for a permanent settlement for Brandenburg, just outside its main commercial area and with a great access point into the entire town. And since already getting late and it makes no sense to do sightseeing at night, we're gonna rest in this house and resume our road trip tomorrow. Okay, it's a brand new day, the weather's decent, so we can continue. The first thing we're gonna pass while getting into Brandenburg is this storage container unit. Quite a few containers, typical type of loot for these types of locations, but you need to figure out a way how to open these doors first, so you know the drill, guys, I'm pretty sure. Just beyond this main intersection we are now crossing, as you can see on the map, is the single largest commercial area in all of Brandenburg, the Pondview Shopping Center. There is this really funny road sign when you enter there. It says hitchhikers may be asylum escapees, and that's because in the general vicinity of Brandenburg there is an asylum, and I will be showing you that later. But for the Pondview Shopping Center, you will see various different stores. There's pretty much everything you'd be looking for, or almost everything you'd be looking for. I'm not going to show you every single store, we're just going to drive by it so you guys can have a feeling of what to expect if you reach this point. Probably the only thing that would make this place even better would be either a bookstore or a VHS store, or preferably both. The Pondview Shopping Center, however, doesn't have either, so we will have to find some different places for these types of things. Now, when we get out of this shopping center and continue on the main road heading east, we will reach a gas station, the first of two gas stations in Brandenburg. What you will notice on this gas station is that it does have some signs of damage, and this damage was caused by a tornado, a massive tornado which hit Brandenburg in April of 1993, and we're gonna head out to a specific district area of the town that was most severely impacted by this tornado, and we're gonna see how this damage was reflected in Project Zomboid. Before we get there though, we will pass by the Brandenburg fire station, which is your typical fire station, it's nothing fancy, and also the Brandenburg Middle School, which, as any other school, is always worth checking out due to several things that you can find inside. The Major Saunders Middle School in Brandenburg does have its library. It's actually easy accessible, almost right next to the main entrance. Not sure why, but most of the buildings in Brandenburg that I visited during recording of this video had their lights turned off for some reason. I guess these people are very conscious of wasting energy. But as you can see, the library in this particular school, it's not the biggest library out there. It's definitely nowhere near Akron College. But you know, it's a place for books. You might get lucky and find the book you are looking for here, so worth checking out. Just before we enter the tornado-affected area, we're going to pass by the baseball field, and once you actually enter the tornado area, it's going to give off a really weird feeling because it's unlike anything you're expected to find in Project Zomboid. In one of the live streams that I did a few weeks ago, my character actually explored Brandenburg, and when I first reached this area, this thing gave off strong Fallout 1, Fallout 2 vibes. Everything is destroyed. It's really unique, actually. A place that's definitely worth visiting because it's unlike any other in Knox County. You're not expected to find anything of value here, but the experience itself is actually quite interesting. And as I mentioned, this is a depiction of actually what happened to Brandenburg in 1993, because there was a real tornado that hit this town. There was even a stronger tornado that even did more damage to the town. It was back in the 70s. So apparently Brandenburg is no stranger to tornadoes. We are now approaching the eastern edge of the town. There isn't much more beyond this area. There is the trailer park, which I've mentioned before, but It's just a regular trailer park. There isn't really anything interesting to show you there, guys. There is a bar. If you ever ran out of booze and use up all the inventory in every other place, there is also a bar just outside of the town if you take one of the roads leading east out of Brandenburg. But beyond that, there isn't a lot of interesting things. Brandenburg is great if you're looking for few specific types of loot. If you're looking for medical equipment, there are 3 separate locations in Brandenburg where you can find them. One of them is this dental clinic that we are seeing right now. There are also 2 other locations I'm going to show you later. Just across the street to this dental clinic, you will find one of my favorite buildings, which is the post office. You can see the mail vans outside. These tend to have mail bags inside, and those tend to have tons of different magazines that are usually, required for crafting. Now, this particular post office, it does not have a large storage area. It does have a small storage area at the back of the building. So if you're ever in need of a generator mag, I would strongly suggest just checking this out. You might get lucky and find it there. Head south from the post office and just a few steps away you will find the Brandenburg police station. Head north and you will reach this semi-sized tool store which has tons of customers waiting outside, and this is by no means a large tool store, but it does serve its purpose. So if you're in need of nails, if you're in need of glue, some construction materials, some protective equipment like knee pads for example, there is a high chance you will find those here. Now, it's obviously nowhere near the size of my favorite tool store, which is the one in Irvington, and if you don't know which store I'm talking about, I strongly recommend you guys check out the episode related to Irvington, because I think that's the best town out of the entire Build 42 expansion, but this one is decent as well, so check it out. Continue down this main road, and not far away from here you're gonna reach probably the dream of every single gunfighter in Project Zomboid. As you know, guys, I started to like guns in Project Zomboid, and yeah, I'm definitely visiting this store. This is the Brandenburg ammo store, and this place has a ton of ammo. And I do mean a ton of ammo. You're expected to fight off a fairly large amount of zombies to get inside, but once you do that, the spoils are yours. And the cool thing about Brandenburg, well, this is not the only place you can go to get bullets, get rifles, pistols, shotguns, and all these types of things. But I'll save it for later. Once you leave the gun store and take the first intersection and turn right, you will pass by a qube plush, which has an excellent selection of leather clothing. And even if leather is not your thing, we all know leather can be used to create leather straps, and leather straps can be used to reinforce any kind of clothing you're wearing. So this is an excellent place to actually find tons of different leather items. And there's also a bookstore. So again, the thing we need. Continue straight and you will reach the Golden Sunset Nursing Home, and this place is by no means special, but there is one specific room which is worth checking out, and that is the library. Yes, this building also has a library, so if you're in desperate need of books, you also might want to check this place out. Now, in my playthrough, I was really unlucky with books. Every single library I was checking out was really didn't have too much, but it can be different for you guys. A lot of it depends on the loot settings. So bookshelves mean books, and books, they're useful. We're gonna go now and see Brandenburg's biggest tourist attraction, the riverboat Delilah, parked at the Brandenburg harbor. Now, this riverboat is a direct representation of a real-world riverboat, which is called the American Queen. And the American Queen, it does actually operate in the Ohio River. You can book it and take the American Queen all the way up to Louisville if you want. Now, the Project Zomboid version is not as big as the actual American Queen, but it's still fairly large in size and has a couple of cool things I want to show you guys. First, we're going to check out the kitchen area, which is situated in the back of the craft, at the bottom level of it. Also, through the kitchen, you are getting into the engine room. Now, the engine room is not anything fancy, but if you go across the engine room, there is also a small crew quarters. And in the crew quarters, you will find 6 refrigerators. So if you're ever in need of like fresh food, you might actually find some here. The Delilah has 3 separate floors, 2 of them being typical bar-like floors. You will see chips, you will see some alcohol on the tables that are also a bar. So this is a place that you can loot for any kind of, bourbon, whiskey, vodka, gin, any type of an alcohol that can be used as a disinfectant or just, mental support in times of need. Now the upper floor, and I just realized these are not floors, these are actually decks because we are on a sailing vessel, is more fancy, just a small cabin, but it also has the control room behind locked doors. Now, surprise, surprise, there isn't anything interesting in the control room, so don't bother getting in there. But, it's there. Every single ship needs to have its own control room. So that's how the Delilah looks like. I think it's one of the most lovely things in all of Knox County. I love the way that it was modeled. It looks exceptionally nice at night when all these lights are on. And if you're ever in the area, just going there and, grabbing a screenshot of your character here is always nice. And I would agree that Delilah is nice, but we are in an apocalyptic world surrounded by bloodthirsty zombies. Now, we're not gonna survive just off looking at nice things, right? So now we're gonna head out to the northwestern area of the town. There are a couple of stores that I want to show you guys, starting with, it's not actually a store, it's more a workshop, but it has a nice storage area with potential for tools and anything. Then again, if we continue a bit further down the road, we will hit the second clinic of Brandenburg. So we had the dental clinic and now we have the actual clinic. So again, a high chance of finding meds, antibiotics, disinfectants. And there's also a small gas station with a small diner just next to it. So this is the second gas station of Brandenburg. There isn't a third one. And as you can see, we are almost out of town, and this is exactly where we are going now. We are going to the military blockade because that place is full of great stuff. Oh, and I guess I forgot to mention, it's also full of not so great things. This military blockade is absolutely infested with zombies. I'm playing base survival settings, so if you play higher pop types of games, you just extrapolate this number to a higher number. But the blockade itself, it has at least several different interesting places you want to visit. First, there is the medical tent. In the medical tent, obviously another place for meds, antibiotics, whatever you need. Right next to it is this sort of small warehouse tent, if that makes sense. You will find, again, tons of ammo, potentially also guns, like in this example. Right outside of this tent, on the street, actually on the bridge itself, there is this container. If you figure out a way how to get inside, it also has military crates inside with basically supplies that were brought here to set up this barricade. So, as you can see, some examples of what you can find inside. And then there is the entire area on the western side of this road bridge leading out of Brandenburg and into Indiana. There are several tents. I'm not going to be looking through all of them, but considering the amount of zombies here and the amount of military guys, I would assume this is an interesting place to loot. But you got to figure out a way how to dispose of all of these zombies without using fire so that you don't burn down all the potential loot that you might find here. Best of luck if you want to do it. There are still 2 more locations in Brandenburg I really want to show you guys, starting with the Brandenburg Court and the Brandenburg Detention Center. Now, we all know the Rosewood Prison. That place is just bonkers, it's mad. So the Brandenburg Prison is your little brother to the Rosewood Prison. Just like the Rosewood Prison, the Brandenburg Detention Center It's just fully infested with zombies. For some reason, a lot of people in Kentucky have problems with the law in 1993. Not sure why. I guess the crime rate must have been super high, but in any case, the prison itself is your typical prison. It does have a cell block and it does have a block which is more administrative and used by the security of that prison. Now, if you manage to get through all the zombies and get through the secured doors, you will be able to get inside the safe house, say the storage area, where again, you are able to find guns. Yes, so this is the third location in Brandenburg where you are likely to find a lot of ammunition and a lot of guns. So for all you gun lovers, this town is definitely appealing to you, I'm pretty sure. Now the other location I want to show you is like dead in the middle of the town, and this is the Brandenburg Community Center. And let me tell you why I want to show you the Brandenburg Community Center, because I think the devs really made a nice connection to the history of Brandenburg. And this place is not a place for you to go and loot stuff. I mean, it doesn't have a library, it doesn't have storage units, but what I like about this is that it has these large rooms with these bunk beds, and obviously these bunk beds were set up here to shelter the people who lost their homes in the tornado. In fact, there are 3 separate rooms with these bunk beds that are directly linked to the lore of the town. Now, I haven't checked myself, but I imagine that after that tornado, people did shelter in this community center and, you know, waiting until their houses are rebuilt. So yeah, that's an excellent touch. And the whole place, I mean, you have squash courts, you have a nice indoor pool, but these bunk beds make this place special. Okay, so we finally covered everything I wanted to show you in Brandenburg. So now let's do a few bunny hops into interesting places just outside in the direct vicinity of Brandenburg. We will start with this lovely nameless hotel northwest of where we are. It's a nice 2-story hotel with a bar and a restaurant and a kitchen at the bottom floor and some sleeping quarters at the first floor. Now this is quite secluded, you might say. There is only one road leading into and out of this place, but it's very close to the river. If you're looking for seclusion and some sort of a safe place to stay for longer, this is definitely an option. I've been recently playing the week 1 mod in my live streams. I actually play it in Brandenburg and I spent 2 nights here. I gotta say, the service was pretty decent. What I did not like is people were chasing me with crowbars, but I guess that's what happens when you play week 1. So I will forgive them and I'm not gonna, you know, give a poor rating on booking.com. The other location, not far away from here actually, is the Brandenburg Airport, and it's definitely not as big as the Louisville Airport. This is just your local airport for your small private planes, but still it's an airport. It does not have a control tower, so you will not have a nice view from high above, but it's an airport nonetheless. You have a couple of hangars. Each of these hangars will have some tools inside, so that's again another location to potentially find some tools. Now, tools are not easy to find in Brandenburg in comparison to guns and meds and food and all the other things. So if you're desperate for something, you might want to check this place before you head out further to places like Irvington or Akron. And finally, if you want to live in style, or when multiplayer drops for Build 42 and you want to feel like descendants of J.D. Rockefeller, there's the Brentford Squill Manor, and the name is correct. This place is absolutely incredible. Once you get inside, you will be amazed at the luxury. Just check out the chandelier at the main hall. This entire building is a multi-story, multi-room manor with its own bar, a huge kitchen, a massive dining room, and tons of sleeping space up the first floor, which will easily house 10 to 15 survivors. And I'm pretty sure all of you will, you know, ride in style like the rich people do. Now what's great about this place is that it also has its very own library, which is twice the size of the library in the Major Saunders Middle School. So this is again another potential place to pick up books and magazines. Right next to the library there is this lovely living room where, well, you can just hang out during the day, and they also have a nice patio with a view of the garden and the surrounding forests. I mean guys, it's just luxury at its finest. If I ever have my own multiplayer server, once Build 42 drops, I will try to live here with my crew. You will have to fight me for this manor because this place just blows my mind. I totally love it. There is a tennis court outside. I mean, the only thing that I would love to have is my very own private pool. I have no idea why nobody came up with the idea of adding a pool section to this manor, but even without that, this place is just totally awesome. We will now bunny hop east to an area between Riverside and Brandenburg. We have not explored that yet. There is one very specific place that I want to show you guys, and we're going to start there. Now at this very specific intersection, kind of halfway between Riverside and Brandenburg, you will find a small gas station, a really small one actually, with just one single pump. And beware guys, because I did go there once and the pump said it was out of fuel. So in this particular playthrough, apparently the gas is there, but you might not be so lucky, and if you're running on fumes, don't rely on this place. But it's a gas station nonetheless, so you know, you might want to check it out if you need fuel. And just beyond the gas station, there is this nice area with a general store that has a fairly decent selection of various items. There is a specific restaurant that serves beef, so steak. If you're looking for steak meat, you will find it there. And there's also a 2-story tackle and bait shop for all your fishing needs. Now, if you're ever traveling to Brandenburg from Riverside and you get stuck along the way, for example, it's getting dark, you don't want to enter Brandenburg when it's dark, this is a really decent place to stay for the night simply. Now, the eastern outskirts of Brandenburg have one more super interesting location to visit, which I wanted to show you in this video, but I think I'm not gonna do it this time. I'm gonna make a separate video about all the really creepy locations that one can visit in Knox County, and that will be a separate episode. So if I see in the comments that I've missed the Sunderland Hills Sanatorium, it was on purpose, guys. I will make a separate video about it. So stay tuned for that. It's evening, we are back at the Delilah, it's lit up, all the little lights are on, it's just really serene and lovely, even with these specific Project Zomboid graphics. Now if you would tell me before I started making the video that it's gonna take me almost 30 minutes to talk about Brandenburg, I would probably say you lost your mind. But obviously we are here almost 30 minutes in. So to wrap things up guys, I think Brandenburg is a place that has pretty much everything. It's both interesting historically and also quite rich in terms of all the different things we as Project Zomboid survivors need. I would love to hear your experiences with Brandenburg. I would love to listen to what I've missed when talking about this northwestern town of the Knox County, and just your opinion. Do you think it's a nice place to live? Would you agree that all the finest folks in Kentucky live here? I'm always curious to hear your comments. Before we close, I'm just going to quickly plug my Discord. The community is growing. There is almost 100 of us at this point, which is pretty crazy actually. If you want to know what's coming up next on the channel, if you want to stay up to date with what I'm doing, if you want to socialize with me and other Project Zomboid fans, that's definitely the place to be. The link to the Discord is in the description of the video. And finally, if you've made it this far, you are an absolute legend and I really appreciate it. Please leave a like under the video. It's gonna help me grow. I'm enjoying this journey and I really appreciate all the support you guys are showing me on a daily basis. For today, that's everything guys, and as always, I'm Gertrix. Cheers!